What is a good kick sample? I have been thinking about this question for a while, and it is really a rabbit hole that goes deep.
You've lost your goddamn mind, Charlie!
But I think I have found some answers to this question. But before that, let's try something. Which of these 4 kick samples sounds better to you? To avoid any subjective ideas, what I want to do now, go to the beatport and pick some of the best tracks so we know that at least these tracks have good kicks because a lot of DJs are buying them and using them in the clubs.
Sometimes I feel like
Obviously, all of these kicks are good in their tracks, but they sound extremely different from each other. So what gives? To understand what makes them good, even they are so different from each other, we have to break down the kick a little bit so that we can understand at least how a kick works. Let's take this kick example coming from my Smooth Kick Sample Pack Volume 2. Sounds like this. It is sounding warm and smooth and soft like a one single sound. In reality, any kick can be really break down into 3 different important parts. The first part of a kick will be a transient, a very short clicky sound at the beginning of the kick. It helps to cut through a mix. For our kick, it sounds like this. It's a very short piece and very transient at the same time. This will be followed by a body of the kick, or some people will call it thumb of the kick. This is the part where actually the color of the kick comes from. And the body of the kick oftentimes cover from 200 Hz all the way up to 3000 kHz. So it is really the mid part of the kick, where our ears are really sensitive. Final piece of the kick will be the tail or the sub of the kick. And this will be the part where it provides the base of the kick, and it will be the longest part, 4 times longer than the thumb of the kick that we have. And here there's an important distinction. Your sub bass can have a tone, like a simple note. This is just an F. If I take this one, it will almost sound like just a bass note. And some kicks won't have this stable note, and they will be atonal kicks. I'm going to show it on the kick too. We are making a kick, this is the thumb, and then the sub bass is only F, meaning that the distance between this each form is exactly the same. So we have a sustained tone on the kick. Right, very stable tone, easy to hear. An atonal kick, on the other hand, will have the distance of these waves different at each time. So in this case, we can see it drops from C sharp to F all the way, and we don't have any place that the frequency of the sub bass stable. It's like doo. It rolls down. But there's no sustained key sound in the kick. You can also make an atonal kick by having really short sub bass so that you don't hear any notes either because it's too short. This video is made possible by my new sample pack Smooth Kicks Vol 2. The pack includes tonal, atonal and analog style kick samples all together, and on top of that I added the construction kits so that you can quickly A/B your own low end, or you can use them to learn or kickstart your next project. Also, we have 25% Black Friday deal on mercurialtones.com, so if you want to try my preset and sample packs and my courses, this is the best time. You will find the links below. Before giving the answer to you, I also come to realize it's much easier to figure out the bad kicks rather than good kicks. Let's take a look. 7 things that makes a bad kick sample. 1. DC offset. So DC offset is when audio signal is actually not sitting on the center of the headroom that you have. For example, here, this should be the regular view of an audio signal, right? Everything is centered on the middle. In a DC offset, you will see that that center point of your audio signal is offset from the main point. It could create unbalance with your audio. They will look like this. You will see this middle line, and a DC offset sound will like one side really tilted. It will be almost impossible to figure out DC offset just by hearing. When we boost this, you see we are clipping here while we have a lot of headroom on the top. Stereo tail, another very visual dead giveaway with the bad kick sample. When you look at your kick sample, your stereo signal right and the left is different, which creates this type of sound. With the headphones, that may sound good, but you want to have the bass or sub bass of the kick really mono. If it is not mono, it will start phasing or it will really sound awkward. If you want to have some type of stereo field on your low end, try to use rather stereo bass. Extreme transients. Sometimes you may come across the kick samples like this. They have this extreme clickiness in the beginning. The moment this one goes into the limiter, it will start clipping already. They will really overdrive your compressors and limiter and so forth. That very clicky sound in the beginning. Late picks. This doesn't need to be always bad, but if you have some type of extreme late picks, it may really lob a bloated low end with your track. This will really drive your limiter quite a bit and destroy the balance of your low end. Extreme clipping. If you are not making like a hard style, very aggressive, very distorted styles, try to avoid heavy clip kick sounds. The moment this sample goes in the limiter, it will limit everywhere. Better to start with a kick, more like this, so that you can start compress a little bit, but without too aggressive distortion. Too loud fundamental. The problem with the fundamental is if you take a frequency system from 0 to 60 Hz, below 20 Hz the humans can hear it. And from 20 to 30 Hz, many PA systems actually fail to replicate this part of the sound because it's too deep. And some of the people, especially people who are a bit older, can't hear properly this area. So it's a kind of a gray area that you try to avoid as much as you can. If you have a kick sample like this, while at first sight you don't see a problem because you really can't hear it, if you take a look at a simple EQ, we have a lot of stuff going on below 20 Hz. So a kick sample like this will eat from your headroom while you are not even able to hear it. Messed up waveforms. This one is a bit more obvious. If you see a kick like this moving around, that just means that the pitch of the kick is always changing up and down, create these really weird wobbles. This is especially a problem if the kick is tuned down, because then you won't be able to hear much either. This type of kicks, they don't often work in a regular track. If you are enjoying the video up to now, please consider like and subscribe. It really helps a ton. So then, what is a good kick sample? As you may have guessed it, the good kick sample really depends on in which type of low end that you are using it. But I'm not gonna leave it just like that because there are dead giveaways what type of kick that would work on each track. You have to think about the layers of the kick. The transient of the kick really depends on the high end of your track. If you have a track that has a lot of hi-hats, a lot of things going on, you definitely need a kick that has a strong and obvious transient. Otherwise, your kick will disappear. If you have a dark song, you will avoid real transient kicks. It will just pop too much. Thumb of the kick, think about the mid area of your track. If you're making a distorted peak time techno track, then you definitely need a strong, aggressive thumb of your kick. If you have something like a smooth, kick will disappear. And when it comes to the sub, it all depends on the low end of your track. Rumble low end. That a long sub blend them together in. If you are making breakbeat, you want to have tight and short kicks. If you are having a bass sound that is going up and down on the rhythm, you want to keep your tail of the kick shorter. Let me show you a couple of best practices so all this fits together. The first example, the rumble kick. You want this aggressive low end. It has a really long tail, which blends into the rumble. Almost feels like everything is coming from the kick. One single glued low end. Let's take an example that has a shorter kick. Because we have this not 4 to the floor rhythm, in some parts you will have that the kicks are very close to each other. If we had the long kicks, this will almost be on top of each other. There is also another effect here. When you have a sustain and long sub bass, our sub end is already occupied all the time. Because of that, you don't need a long kick to feel the sub bass area of your track. The short kick works perfectly. Mid-size kicks. Now we have something like this. It's the half of the area, so it's not that strong all the time. You still want a dominant kick, but you also want to feel the rolling bass. This is a very common approach, especially in melodic techno. If they want to be the bass pop more, then you will have the shorter kick. If you want to kick pop a bit more, you have longer kick. And why there's a tonal and atonal kick? Atonal kick will sound a bit more separated from your bass. But if you want the bass and kick sound glued to each other, you can instead use a tonal kick. So for the mid and long kicks, the tonality is an important factor. Heavy kick that will work with your bass sound. Kick and tom low ends. For this type of sounds, you want to have a kick that is closer to the tonality of your tom sounds, so that they sound coherent. Tumby overall toms, hence our kick is also tumby. you prefer mid to long kick so that the low end or the sub bass is filled a little bit, right? However, some people also add bass on top of that, but still on the background, right? It's more like a percussive element than regular bass. And this will create this really beautiful, danceable song. And here it is. Let me know what are the good practices that you know on the comments below. It will be exciting to hear other producers' opinions. Now, if you feel like you got the kicks but you want to learn more about the low end and the bass, I have a cool video about the basses that I published last week. Take a look at here.